What's going on, everyone? Good to see everyone back. I know we wasn't here last week due to Pace's Unbreak the Challenge with Grant Cardone, but we are back this week. As you guys can see, we don't have Jesse today, but we do have our third business partner, Collin Gibboney. Collin, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. How are you? It's nice seeing you. As
Good,
always.
man. Good to see you as well, man. And thanks for you guys. Just to let you guys know, we are streaming from a couple different platforms. If you're on YouTube, StreamYard, and or Facebook, depending on where you are, please make sure you're connected with everyone. That's in the comments. Let people know where you're from, where you're trying to do deals from, and also how you guys can JV together. So today, guys, as you can already see, Angel, good to see you. Angel's phenomenal, guys. Angel's literally a amazing spirit. If you don't know Angel, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but she's definitely an amazing spirit, and she's 100% right. Collin does rock. Good to see you, Angel. We got Reggie. We got Reggie in the house. Carlin, I said your name correctly this time. Carlin, good to see you. Tell James what's up. I see Jesse in the comments. Good to see you, Jesse. Yeah, it's going to be a great show today. You know, we got about an hour. We're going to talk about underwriting today, Collin, and within our business. As those that you, if you don't know, Collin does 100% of our underwriting in our business, from multifamily, single family, condos, manufacture, whatever it is, he does it all. He does it at a higher level, which is amazing. Which you know, I'm truly blessed to even be in this vicinity, just around him, right? And Collin itself, I can't really describe it, but I'm very happy that, you know, we're partners, and very thankful and blessed to just know you, man.
Likewise, bro. Appreciate you
Absolutely.
always.
Absolutely. So guys, during the we got an hour long. Please, any questions, concerns related to just underwriting, throw it in the side chat. And again, make sure you guys are squatting up with everyone in the side chat. Please let people know where you're from, where you're trying to do deals, and how you guys can JV together. So definitely throw it in the side chat. Guys, also, if you do make a comment, Facebook user, I'm seeing it right here. It says, "Hey, I'm Seth from Vermont, doing business in New England. Now, we'd like to spotlight you, but you do need to grant StreamYard access to have your name show." So I'm not for sure where that is exactly. I think it's probably in the top right hand, 3 dots, and then there's grant access. But we'd like to spotlight you and let people know where you're from. So signing a contract on our first wholesale down in Atlanta right now. Darren, congrats, man. That's phenomenal. Phenomenal, man. That is amazing. That's amazing. Darren, guys, if you don't know, he's actually in sub 2. Phenomenal individual. Also reach out to him if you need help. He's got a great integration system that works wonders.
Beast.
Angel Miller, Colliner's underwriter god. So listen up, piece. It makes them 100%. Everything that she's saying is, sometimes when Collin speaks, guys, you don't realize that sometimes it goes over my head. I'm like, I had to take two steps back and like, okay, what the hell did he just say? Like, okay, can you explain that to me? Can you break that down to like a 3rd grade level? And it's kind of crazy, but it's pretty neat though. It's pretty neat. It's all about, you know, learning, growing, and having the right individuals around you. So now it's time to get it sold. 100%. And Darren, let us know if you need help selling that. You know, we definitely got credible buyers right over there. I'm not for sure if it's like a land deal or whatever that may look like specifically, but you know, we can help you facilitate that process if you need be. But congrats, man. That's phenomenal. I'm Jocelyn. I'm from SoCal, doing business in SoCal. So, yes, Jocelyn, I wish I knew your last name and so people could know how to, you know, get in touch with you. But good to see everyone here. We're going to go ahead and get started. Collin, just tell people a little bit about you and, you know, all about your background, your real estate, and what you're doing right now, man.
Sure. Yeah. So I got into real estate in 2017, kind of by accident. I was in the Army down in Savannah, Georgia. Moving back up here to New York, where I live now. Live in Rochester, New York. Live about 15 minutes from Chris. He's at our office. I'm at home right now. So yeah, coming out of the Army, I was like, okay, talking to the realtor who sold us the house, like, hey, you know, what do you think we can do on this? And she was just like, yeah, you probably have to write a check for, I think she said like 6,000 or 9,000, something like that. And I was like, well, that's not going to happen. So very arbitrarily, just like Googling, you know, how do I rent my house out? Found Bigger Pockets and just kind of like started consuming. Was watching podcasts, you know, filling notebooks full of notes, and just kind of fell in love with the concept. ended up moving back up here to New York, and we were cash flowing like $350 a month on that house. And I was like, all right, if I could do this 10 more times, I could buy a lot of my time back. And that's kind of how I just started thinking about things. Transition out of the Army was kind of rough. A lot of things happened, divorce, kind of floundering, losing, not really losing, but just like no sense of purpose, no tribe, no community that I was really connected with like I was in the Army. And so, yeah, that was tough. Worked a bunch of odd jobs, bartended, tried the whole college route. And, kind of just, kind of, again, still kind of floundering. Eventually got my feet under me, started a used car dealership up here in New York. Got introduced to, the whole entrepreneurial and personal development space, and really just, latched onto it, found purpose again. Was doing that for about a year. I was like, all right, it's time to get back into real estate. I still had in the back of my mind always, it was just like, man, I have to keep doing I have to replicate what I had done in Savannah. And so, applied for a mortgage, going through that whole process. The day my loan officer calls me back, I was like, hey, you don't have 2 years of work history. Unfortunately, like, we're not going to be able to give you a loan. And I was like, man, that sucks. Went home, made myself dinner, turned on the TV, went on YouTube while I'm eating. First YouTube, recommended video is Pace Morby on Bigger Pockets. The episode that came out that day. The tagline was like how to buy houses with no bank or something like that. Something that just really caught my attention. It was kind of like divine, the timing of it all. So watched it, heard Pace talk for the first time, learned about Sub 2. I think he mentioned his creative finance, his free creative finance group in there. And so I went in there, introduced myself. Chris ended up reaching out and was like, hey, I'm in Rochester. So, time over the course of like 2 weeks, I eventually bullied him into letting me buy him a cup of coffee. And then the rest was kind of history. Joined Sub 2, and I've been doing that ever since.
Amazing, man. Amazing. And I think that's phenomenal because everyone has their origin story where they started off. And a lot of people think going into real estate is going to be challenging or what that may look like. Sometimes people just fall into real estate. And it seems like that was kind of what happened to you, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was it's interesting. It's kind of funny how life works. Yeah. So opposed to, if somebody from Sub 2 would have called me, then I would have sold them my house on Sub 2 just because I was not I wasn't going to write a check to sell my house. That concept was crazy in my head. So, fortunately I just went down the path of trying to figure out how to rent it out and, entertain the idea of being a landlord, even virtually. And, that really, it boosted a lot of my confidence. It opened me up to a whole world of education and growth that I've kind of stuck to ever since.
Love that. I love that. And guys, just to let you know, please grant StreamYard access to view this so we know who we're talking to. Darren, like you got a potential Sub 2 student that can help you out here. I'm not for sure who he or she is, but definitely feel free to reach out to Darren to get that sold. And also this gentleman or lady looking for a Sub 2 student in Philadelphia, South Jersey to squat up. And so just to let you guys know, a little side note, I just closed on my triplex over in Philadelphia literally 2 days ago, Thursday. And so, if you're looking to sell a deal to me, if it's whatever is creative, whatever that may look like specifically, shoot it my way. I may be your buyer. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that. That's actually my first triplex over in Philadelphia. So I'm looking to pick up more in Philadelphia. Great area, great neighborhood. I love it. I'm actually cash flowing a minimum $1,100 on that specific one, so which is phenomenal. I'm pretty stoked about that. And yeah, if you got any deals over in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, that area, I'm definitely your buyer. Definitely your buyer. Thank you, Angel. Much appreciated. John, I have an urgent sub 2 deal in Pace, Florida. Need an end buyer. Goes to foreclosure next Thursday. John, please reach out to myself, Collin, or Jesse. We can definitely help you with that, whatever that may look like.
Is there a way to
please
drop
let us know
in the chat?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, John, we just stopped. I think we stopped 2 foreclosures in the past 2 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Some pretty interesting stuff we can do in that regard. So, John, Chris is going to put an email in the chat. Go ahead and just email the details. Best way to get in contact with you, and we'll set up a call either today or tomorrow, whenever is most convenient for you. And if it's urgent, we'll get after it for sure.
There we go. And
There it is.
oh, he's on Facebook. I just realized. So Facebook won't go there. Um, John, try to DM me, and then we can make sure that happens. Yeah, we can make that happen. It's not a problem. Yeah, no worries. We can do a lot of deals together. We want everyone around us to be very successful, and just let's make money. That is it. Let's make money, and you never know what could come from it. And yeah, thank you, John. Much appreciated. So yeah, we're gonna jump right into it, guys. Last thing, right before we jump into it, just to let you know, I got Pace's thing right down here. He did cancel the last event because he was at the Unbreakable Challenge, I think it's called it. Uh, who is it? Greg Cardone. But yeah, go to pacemorby.com/invite, register for the next event for multifamily challenge. It's going to be the 15th, 16th, and the 17th of this month. Actually, this month they thought it's going to be March, but they actually moved it up a little bit. So it's the 15th, 16th, and the 17th. Here's the it's pacejmorby.com/invite. Maj, what's going on, my guy? Good to see you here. Tell Anna happy birthday again. They're chilling
Happy
in the
birthday,
beach
Anna.
in some kind of country. I'm not for sure where they're at, but they're doing it up over there. Phenomenal individual. Those who don't know Majin, Anna, phenomenal guys on the phone. They're great at what they do. So please reach out to them if you guys need help with negotiations or talking to your sellers. So yeah, Collin. So we're going to talk about underwriting today, and again, guys, please throw questions and questions, whatever that may look like specifically. Collin's going to deep dive into like what underwriting look like for single families and all that good stuff, and what's actually a good deal. So, Collin, take it away, man.
Yeah. So what is underwriting? Underwriting is really just looking at a lead, whether they be on market, off market, whatever, wherever the lead came from. That's kind of a whole other category of itself. But underwriting is just looking at that lead and determining what can I do with this. What makes the most sense here? Does this make the most sense to fix and flip? Does this make the most sense to buy and hold? If I'm buying it to hold it, what kind of return can I get? Even if you're wholesaling it to somebody who is going to buy and hold it, how do I know that this is a good deal for them and this kind of meets their metrics for what they're looking for? So that's kind of underwriting in a nutshell. I got some. Go ahead.
So when it comes to underwriting, more so, do you underwrite the same exact way for every single property?
That's a good question. Not really.
Okay.
I kind of take it for like I start to look at like what would the disposition of this thing be. So like gaining the pertinent information up front is always super important. So obviously address, how many beds, how many baths, and then typically the property condition is going to start to kind of push me in whatever direction what I might be underwriting this for. Is this turnkey? And then really what's going on with the seller? What kind of situation is this? Do they need cash to close? Is this creative? There's a lot of different implications and things that you need to understand about the deal before diving into it. Really, you can run numbers on it either way, kind of no matter what it is. And you can run them for all different types of things. Like how would this look as a flip, as a wholesale, as a buy and hold, X, Y, or Z. But really just the first thing you want to do is gain a good understanding of what is going on with that property. That's the first thing. That's paramount.
I love that. And it's very essential because a lot of people do send us deals all the time and they don't have all the important information to even underwrite the deal. So what Collin just stated, it's very, if you really want us to do a thorough underwriting of a specific deal, we need all the financials. We need all the basically the missing pieces of what's really going on within the property. We don't know if we walk in the house, there's a hole in the roof. We don't know any of that, important information. Like, is half the house missing, or was the house just recently remodeled? It all depends on different exit strategies, which Collin's going to deep dive into that a little bit later.
For sure, yeah. So, really, and where does creative come into this? So, a lot of times if I underwrite something for a buy and hold opportunity, I'm looking at, what does this look like for cash? Number one. And then obviously real estate's a relationship and leverage game. So how would that look if I had to go to the bank to buy this property? And that kind of gives me a good baseline, right? And then if the seller is open to creative, because of the cash numbers just don't work, then we start to look at, how can we kind of creatively structure this deal? And having a good understanding of underwriting really gives you a leg up on how to structure deals when you're talking to sellers, and just being able to get really creative by understanding really where your numbers are and where you would need to be.
Oh, I love that. I really love that. And more so when underwriting, do you take consideration like private money lending, or you just do like a formula? What does that look like overall?
Yeah, so you might have to, how much do you have to, and again, part of this is knowing yourself, right? So you have to look at the
Right.
property as a whole, but you also have to look at yourself and what are your goals, right? You're just getting started in real estate. You don't have money to buy and hold. You don't have the connections with private money lenders yet. You're like, man, it would really be best if I could just wholesale this thing out. That's knowing yourself and knowing what you're trying to do. Maybe you have a little bit of money saved up and you're looking to buy and hold yourself. Maybe you do have relationships with private money lenders and you can raise that money. You're not really too concerned about the money aspect and your entry fee into that property. And it's just understanding if that's a good deal, and then being able to consolidate all of that information to show to your lender, hey, this is what we're looking at. These are the types of returns. These are kind of like the golden the golden metric in my eyes for buy and hold is certainly the cash on cash return. And all that is simply of your entry fee, what percentage of that are you gaining back year one? And we can definitely dive into the the formula, the equation that you would have to run to figure that stuff out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Maj got a good question right here. Maj asked, what's the standard due diligence period for an end buyer?
So if I have a property under contract with an agent or direct to seller, I typically ask for a 14 business day inspection. Looks like 14 days, but 14 business days. Contractors get busy, as much time as possible, obviously, while still being respectful to the seller. Are you talking about more so your due diligence to an end buyer when you're wholesaling something? If that is the case, and that is what you're asking, we always encourage our end buyers to do due diligence prior to making any offers and to going under contract. When you're wholesaling, you typically like to ask for a non-refundable earnest money deposit, and that due diligence should all be done prior. So when you put that under contract A to B, you want to have a long enough inspection period to where your end buyers and the people who are potentially going to be buying this deal can come in and do their own due diligence within that time frame as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And guys, I do want to apologize in advance. My internet is lagging, so as long as you guys can hear me, I guess is okay. But I've been trying to fix this for the last month, and it's still not working for me right now. But please let me know if there's any internet issues or that you're seeing on your end. Is there a course something can take? Is there a course someone that can take to learn underwriting? Well, yes and no. More so if you get around the right people, it all depends. Are you looking to learn how to underwrite, and or specifically, are you looking to just on a hypothetical, like are you asking a specific question? Is there a course? I'm pretty sure there's 1,000 different courses to learn how to underwrite. But if you are in the sub-2 community, we have numerous of like Zoom videos and series as far as how to underwrite. And if you're in a sub-2 community, also you probably already know this, that we have underwriting team that Pace puts on a weekly basis twice a week. So anytime you need your deals underwrite, you can just go right into our private Facebook group and go right to the Zoom. And one of our phenomenal mastermind students will definitely underwrite that for you as well. But I hope I answered that question. Go ahead, Collin. Sorry about that.
That's an interesting one. So really, there's core information that you can pull off of like podcasts, and you can join these mentorships, and they'll have stuff in there about it. Really, it's that, right? Educating yourself, knowing what to look for, knowing what numbers you need, where to plug them in, and how to extract the information that you need. I would say it's just reps. Like you can turn yourself into a hell of a wholesaler or a hell of an underwriter rather, by just putting reps in. Reps. If it's specifically for buy and hold, really that's so underwriting buy and hold is probably the easiest thing you can do on market, where it's just like, how would I understand this to cash flow? That's kind of like the ABCs, right? And then you can start throwing in creative factors, and then a wholesale underwriting for a wholesale, gaining your comps, knowing your max allowable offer. That's kind of a different equation. But I would say if you were to practice anything at first, practice whatever your disposition to. If you're looking to wholesale, practice underwriting what your max allowable offer is going to be every day, whether it's agent outreach or however you're gaining this property information, start putting reps in, put pen to paper, and you'll progressively just get better and better and better, and then it'll become second nature to you.
Absolutely. I'm getting started as a wholesaler. Are cash buyers typically open to creative finance deals like seller finance and subject to? What are your thoughts, Collin?
It all depends. Yeah. So it all depends on the type of buyer. This might just be a flipper who's not looking to buy and hold, or you're looking for an end buyer that wants the cash flow, right? And you can build a fee in and wholesale it out with there still being good returns on the end buyer side, right? So their cash on cash return still looks nice. They're hitting their monthly cash flow threshold. I would highly recommend reaching out to some buyers in your area and just getting a feel for like what their taste is and what they're looking for. Kind of gather those buy boxes and don't just spam Facebook groups, although that is that's one method, but just spamming a Facebook group, just like, hey, everyone send me your buy box. Take the time, go through that Facebook group and reach out to people who have commented about who look at other deals that have sold on that Facebook group in that area. Find those people who are commenting underneath and reach out to them. Be like, hey, can I set up a call with you? See what their business looks like. See how you can provide value to them. And, before you know it, you'll have a couple, flippers who are looking to buy cash. You got some buy and hold investors, and then you have a more diverse pool of buyers. So you're not just having to hit every nail with a hammer. You got a couple different tools for whatever specific job that is.
And I do think this is an interesting question because I know when I first got into real estate, I thought cash was the only way. I really thought just a traditional cash transaction was the only way you could take down a property. And that's what the whole thing was about. Because initially I wasn't, those who do know me, they already know that, I was with Cody Spurbert initially, and that was the not traditional, but, wholesaling and all that good stuff. But I didn't really start learning about creative finance until I got to the Pace More, sub 2 community, and more so realizing, you really don't need money to buy a property. And a lot of people think you got to go the traditional way. You have to do the BRRRR strategy. You have to do this. You have to do that. And that's not the case. And I think that's a very interesting question. And I can definitely relate to that because that was a big, actually, the time I actually got into real estate, I didn't know nothing about sub 2 or even anything related to creative finance. So I think that's a phenomenal question.
Short answer is yes, they definitely will.
Yep, absolutely. See his name. So his name is Seth. For cash on cash, COC guys is cash on cash return. Are you calculating with the entry fee as the total or just cash out of pocket personally?
So that's total. So if I'm bringing on a private money lender, and just full disclosure, my favorite way to buy and holds is giving up equity. So typically you can use your own money. You can raise debt, which just basically means you're taking out a loan from a private money lender, family, friend, whatever. You raise debt or you give away equity. My favorite way is to give away equity, and that's kind of a longer conversation about having a personal relationship and having it be more relational than transactional with some of your lenders. That way you can build that relationship and you guys can start to build and grow your assets and grow your portfolio together. So that's kind of a longer story. But for cash on cash, are you calculating with the entry fees as a total or just the cash out of pocket personally? So total entry fee, you're always going to use to get your cash on cash. So if we have a seller finance deal that we've negotiated and then we're looking to sell that to an end buyer, I'm not just calculating the cash to the seller and closing costs. I'm also calculating the assignment fee that we want to make in there as well, just to show them, hey, after we get paid, you still have a 30% cash on cash return with the seller finance deal, and it's 0%. So, we're under 20%, which a bank would require you to have. You're still getting a 20, 30, whatever percentage it is, cash on cash return on your money, which is great. And, we're still getting paid, and the seller's happy, and you have 0%. All your payments to the seller are going to the principal pay down. So you can really create win-win-win situations across the board once you start to get into these more creative deals. But to answer your question, yes, you're calculating the entirety of the entry fee to include closing costs, to include repairs that you're going to have to do day one. So a lot of people kind of overlook that, like deferred maintenance, or say there's a leak, you got to take care of all that stuff. You want to have all those numbers beforehand just to calculate that cash on cash.
Angel Miller. I have one that has to be under contract by Monday to get the prior to auction to Angel, reach out. We can definitely help you with that. That's not a problem at all. Is this the one we already probably talked about, or is this a different one? Just curiosity.
Yeah, reach out, Angel. We'll definitely help you with that.
Yeah. No, not a substitute student, so I'd be interested in knowing how to find the best deals.
That's
It really
yeah.
all depends. It really all depends. Um, it really all depends on your situation, right? We don't know your personal situation, whether financially, maybe you have enough. Again, I guess it goes down to two things, right? You either have more money than time, or vice versa, right? And I'm not for sure if you initially work in a W-2 where you can't make calls or try to source out deals or whatever that W-2 may look like specifically. But if you're looking for a free resource, a lot of people are going on market. They're looking for agents. A lot of people specifically may not just actually on market. They actually going to like Craigslist. They're going to marketplace. They're going to for sell by owner. There's a lot of different ones out there that people can go to find the best. I want to say the best deals, but there are great deals within that, right? Of course, you gotta wiggle yourself through and go through a couple no's to get a few yeses, but are there ways to get deals, their best deals without any money? 100%. Now, if you wanted to spend a little bit of money, get a VA. Get a VA and hire a VA to cold call. A lot of people don't like the cold call. Personally, I hate it with a passion, but would I do it to get a deal? 100%. It all depends on your preference and what you're capable of doing in your life, what your current lifestyle is.
Yeah,
Colin, did you want to touch on that?
I did. Yeah. So that's a super loaded question. How to find the best deals?
Yep.
I think that is a moving target, and that will consistently change. There's within real estate, it's so market specific. So a certain city might have a certain demographic or age range or whatever the case may be that doesn't respond to. They don't answer their phone for cold calls, but they respond to texts. So there's so many different modalities to go out there and source leads and do lead generation, including on market. There's so many different ways. It's kind of just testing and iterating and constantly tweaking what your lead generation looks like and figuring out what works for you and your market. And then again, looking at yourself and knowing yourself, like, what do I most resonate with? I don't want to hire VAs and train and manage them and this and that, the third. So I like SMS. Or I don't, I can't afford the SMS platform that I need to whatever. So then I'm going to do mail, just as an example. There's so many different ways to source leads. So that's a really, really loaded question. It's hard to answer. How do you find the best deals? Typically, blanket answer, just so you can walk away with something and it's not super ambiguous. Go on somewhere like Batch Leads or PropStream or ListSource and stack. So stack the list with your filters with pain points. So pre-foreclosure is a pain point, tax liens a pain, liens are a pain point, code violations is a pain point, all that kind of stuff. So there's tons and tons and tons of content out there. You can certainly get overwhelmed. I think it's really hard to say what the best way to find the best deals is.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree even more. So yeah, 100%. I think that's a loaded question, but 100%. There's so many different ways you can get deals, and just knowing your market. I think first knowing exactly what market and kind of doing an analyst of exactly what is out there. Like Colin said, sometimes cold calling works best in some markets, and versus some people like for instance, I can tell you right now in Pennsylvania, for me specifically, when I first got into real estate, we did a shit ton of text blasting. We did, and it wasn't working for us, and so we switched our VAs to cold call, and they started picking up the phone. But that doesn't work in every market, and you got to be very narrow, and it also depends on the niche, and then also the stacking. Like if you're doing pre-foreclosures versus a vacant houses, tired landlords, is all different things, right? So a lot of different factors go into play for that specific one.
For sure.
Melissa, hi Chris. I could use some help with my deal underwriting today. What's the Facebook group name? So the Facebook group name that I was mentioning was I believe it was sub 2. That's for sub 2 members only. That I was talking about. But more so, if you want to go to the free Facebook group, is Creative Finance with Pace Morby. So hope that answers your question. Let's see. That's an awesome question. I'm very great in it. So I'm glad, Rebecca, you're getting a value for this. Guys, if you're getting value from this, hey, please like, share, let people know that, we're here to just not just what she just stated, but we want to see everyone around us be successful. We want to get everyone their first deal or whatever that may look like to them. Facebook user, what is your YouTube channel? All my socials are chris.jamesrei, or if you're looking for this specific podcast or show, is the Elephant Show with Jesse Stanton and Chris James. Excuse me, but I don't know. Oh, it's everyone get that confused. It's two. I got two first names. So initially, my full name is Christopher James, but first name is Chris. Last name is James. Everyone gets. A lot of people call me James, but that's actually hilarious. Emily, good to see you here. How do you underwrite for larger homes, like 6 bedrooms, when not many comps looking for a 3-bedroom to a 6-bedroom?
I wouldn't play the guessing game on that, right? So larger bedrooms, larger homes, you typically open up some non-traditional exit strategies, such as like sober living facilities, assisted living facilities, things of that nature. So I'd be curious if you're not seeing comps that would support turning the 3-bed into a 6-bed. What's kind of the reasoning behind that? And so if like comps aren't supporting it, right. I'd just be really interested on why that might be the case. If you turn it into a 6-bed and then split it in half and had, a 3-1 and a 3-1, now you got a duplex. That'd be pretty easy to comp and see what your long-term rental rates might be. So I just be kind of curious as to if there's no comps to support what might prompt that change of really the whole layout of the house.
Yeah, that's a big change right there. A huge change right there. I can understand adding like a one more bed or whatever that may look like, but it's a significant change. Melissa, I think this is related to the other question. Just to make sure.
Yeah.
I have a 3-unit in Patterson, New Jersey, 9-bed, 3-bath. And the seller's a contract accident negotiable from $339. Written values are $1,500 to $2,100. I would love help underwriting a wholesale deal today. So you can send details more so. Like for instance, we need more than just like we're not for sure if this is a cash offer at $339 or if he's open to terms. So there's a lot of different missing information here. We'd love to underwrite this and see exactly what the next steps look like. If you send it to our email info@thirdmindrei.com, we'd love to take a look at it.
Yeah, we can set up a Zoom. We can set up a Zoom or something like that, and kind of just like walk through those different assumptions and like gain the full scope of really what's going on with the property. I see in your message under there, it's a full renovation up to $200K. Yeah, so you're looking at $539K total with him at asking. You're gonna have to do the math on what that debt would look like, what kind of monthly payments those are gonna be for you to hold that property up until it's cash flowing, and then once it's cash flowing and fully rented out, what does that look like based on the rental comps in the area, and how much are you going to make on that? And really, that's the stuff that you're going to kind of have to justify to an end buyer. And also, if it's a flipper specifically, what's the comp? Like where is this thing going to land as far as value goes after the 339 plus the 200 go into it? You got to factor in their holding costs and all of that stuff as well.
Absolutely. Darren, if you guys want to review our numbers, we used a deal. We just locked up. It would be great to get your opinion. Keekly Atlanta gave us a MAO recommended for locking it up. Yeah, why not? Send it over. And is Keekly going to dispo that for you? I'm assuming. Make sure you smash the like. Appreciate you, Mach. We're dealing with one of those right now. Amazing. Emily, so she's elaborating on her recent comment, make a rooming house of 6-bed. Okay. So that makes sense then. Now if you're going to do that, just make sure you do your due diligence and see if it's even feasible, or is it a waste of time more so to see if that's, go ahead. I'm sorry.
What's the need for the rooming house in the area? Is there a demand? Right. How much is the rooming house going to generate? And then once you have some historical figures to look at it being done somewhere else, and you have a good understanding of what that property is going to generate, then you can definitely dive right into the numbers and have the full scope of all the things you would need to go ahead and underwrite a property.
Absolutely. So Collin, let me ask you specifically, like when you're underwriting deals more so, are you looking at multiple exit strategies, or is it just one exit strategy? What does that look like?
I typically like to have an idea of what the exit strategy might be as
Okay.
I'm getting an understanding of the deal. But definitely underwriting for multiple exit strategies. Especially on creative stuff. There's so many things you can do. You can wrap it. You can lease option. You can subtail. Take it over sub 2, take it right to the market. You can. I'm sure there's a term for it where you take it over sub 2, flip it, and then put it back on the market. I guess it's a subtail.
Subtail. Yep.
Yeah, with some renovations in there as well. So there, I do underwrite for multiple exit strategies, absolutely. Really, just really, it all comes down to volume. Getting good at anything, it comes down to volume. Practice makes perfect. You just want to have a good understanding of what's going on with that property, and then what are you looking to do? What best resonates with you as the investor, and then kind of solving for that. Taking those two, kind of looking at the deal through, or looking at the numbers rather through those two paradigms, will really start to give you a clear path to start walking down. And then once you have everything kind of laid out on a piece of paper in front of you, quite literally, you can start to look at what exit strategy might be best.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there a form for underwriting, or is this all numbers on the napkin?
There's
So, oh, go ahead.
No, you're good, man.
So the napkin that a lot of people are utilizing, that is one form that you can utilize to, get to one or two exit strategies. But if you're looking for every single exit strategy, it's not going to be on there. I know I've been in communication with Kayla Christopher. Great, great guy, along with Michael Kim. They're actually trying to form some kind of all-in-one calculator, but that transparently will only be for the sub 2 students. So if you're not a sub 2 student, you won't be privy to that. However, if you're working with a sub 2 student, we can definitely make sure, we can underwrite that together, whatever that may look like.
So there's plenty of forms and Excel spreadsheets and online calculators that you can use to help give you like a good understanding of your numbers. Really, I very, very archaically just like to write everything down on a piece of paper. If I have to get like mortgage assumptions, if I'm using debt, or if I have to calculate the interest rate in there and like the amortization, I'll use like mortgagecalculator.org. It's very, very simple. You just plug in, term length, down payment, all that kind of stuff, interest rate, and it'll pop out, your monthly debt service. So definitely lean on the resources like that. As far as like an all-in form for underwriting that's going to give you an idea of every exit strategy, there's not really anything out there that exists. I know there's a few that have like a couple different exit strategies on there, but my personal preference is put pen to paper, honestly.
Yeah, there's just so many different ways of underwriting. Like, we're not for sure if you're doing an ovation and note investing, you're just doing traditional wholesale, you're doing a fix and flip. It's just so many different ways that a lot of people don't even know. So, try to put all of them on one is going to be challenging. And I know that's something that Caleb has been working on for quite a while now. So that'd be pretty interesting to see how that actually unfolds and, actually have that in my possession and see exactly what that really looks like. But that's a phenomenal question.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking at this right now more so like when underwriting specifically, and again, people that know me, they know I know how to underwrite? Yes. But will I go tenfold to try to go layers and layers and layers of what Collin do? He loves that. I'm not for sure, how did you come to even liking underwriting? I just thought about it. How did you even start liking that? A lot of people don't like underwriting. People think it's pretty boring, transparently.
No, I love looking at the numbers. I'm very sales minded and sales oriented. So really, I think there's a lot of overlap between understanding how to underwrite it, and then that gives me an insight on how this might need to be structured. So I think that's really where my love comes from. The love more so stands out on the sales side and the structuring the deal. I really geek out on that stuff. But growing up, man, I hated math. I've just never really been too much of a numbers person. And that's true to an extent. But as far as like putting pen to paper with this kind of math, I really just kind of gravitated towards it. I'm not sure why. I do really, really like looking at the numbers and seeing where things are and, just creating win-win scenarios for everyone.
Amazing.
I got an example if you want to go over.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. If you guys do have a pen and paper, kind of just like follow along, I'll kind of go through the equation and everything. So this was a duplex I just put under contract up here in Rochester. So we're going to go through the cash assumption where the assumption was you'd have to kind of go to the bank to cash them out, and then the how the deal actually shook out with creative finance, and like what was the difference between those two returns, and how was a win-win situation created across the board. So if you got a pen and paper, yeah, just follow along. So this lead came in from a good friend. They were like, hey, I think this guy is open to creative. Is this something you'd be interested in? Yada, yada, yada. And like, hey, dude, let's just get on the phone with him. Get on the phone with him, kind of convert to creative and start pitching terms to him. And we ended up landing on it. So before I got it, we'll go over those numbers, what this would look like as a traditional investment. Guy was kind of stuck at like $105,000. So that's going to be our purchase price, $105,000. And the comps in the area kind of support that. Honestly, it's retail price, not super overpaying. Somebody could make the argument in this market you're paying over retail value, which I would probably agree with. But I feel pretty comfortable at 105. I didn't grossly overpay, but I do think I'm overpaying a little bit, which is fine with how the deal landed. So we'll just kind of walk through with traditional financing terms. We're going to have to do 20% down. So now we're going to have to figure out what is 20% of $105,000. Very simply on a calculator, you could just do 105,000 times 0.2. So you're timesing out 20%, and that's going to give you how much 20% of 105K is. And that number is $21,000. So we're going to put a note here, writing it down as I go with you guys. $21,000 for a down payment. So we got a purchase price of 105K, down payment of 21K. I use 2% for closing costs, and that's going to be kind of different.
Why is 2% for closing costs?
So 2% for closing costs, just like attorney fees, title searches, title insurance, all of the stuff you would need. It would probably be more if I got a loan. Honestly, I probably would have done 3%. I use 2% though. Up here, it's not really too expensive to close.
Those who don't know, Collin is talking about Rochester, New York. There's many different Rochester cities out there, but we're talking about Rochester, New York. And those who don't live in New York know that we're our attorney state, and we don't really have a title company. Well, we have title company, but we don't facilitate with title companies. The attorney has to initiate the entire process.
Yep. And for this one, I expect it to be right around that $2,100 to close for sure. And again, if I had a loan, there would be loan costs in there. So it'd be a little, I would maybe do 3%, but for this example, we're just going to stick with 2.
Okay.
So that's $2,100. So this is all, while I'm doing this, I'm writing it down, obviously, but at the end, those two things, my down payment, my closing costs, those are two things that I'm going to need to bring to that's money I'm going to have to put into the deal day one. So that's going to be part of my cash on cash equation. Interest rate, I did at 6.5%. That's a little bit higher than I'm buying a personal property right now. So I kind of know where rates are floating for the consumer. Usually with investing products or, rental properties, it's a little bit higher. So I just took 6.5%. The term I did over 30 years. And then this is a big one that a lot of people don't calculate, is like, what are the taxes on this property? Like what does it cost me each year to have taxes on this property? And that's something that you'll be able to usually plug into these calculators online that are going to tell you exactly what your PITI is. And all PITI is your principal, your interest, your taxes, and insurance. That payment all wrapped into one monthly payment. So I would, when you're underwriting, be as accurate as possible. You can make assumptions. Stay away from them if you can. So to get taxes for a property, you can go on that county's website, and there will be like a tax portal. You just search it, and you can see the last year's tax bill and see that it's probably not going to change so much year over year. Sometimes with bigger multifamily deals, like once that property conveys, the tax assessor will reappraise it, and you'll have a new bill. And so with larger properties, you have to be a lot more considerate, and really best practice is reaching out to the county and seeing how they reassess after a property changes hands. But with duplexes and single families, you don't really see the taxes really changing too much like crazy, at least around me. So I just look at the past performance, how steady has that property stayed. And And that's kind of what I look at for tax history. So yeah, county websites is the most accurate. And then Redfin also has a property tax. It's an estimate essentially. So for this example, the county website, their last year's tax bill for this property particularly was $657.82. And then Redfin under the tax history estimate was like $789. So Redfin's estimate was just a little bit high on this one. So I'm taking that into consideration as well. And then your last thing that you want to look at is insurance. Typically, you're safe at like $1,000 a month, being conservative and wrapping that in. I always use the number 1,000. Could be a little more, could be a little less. Especially by me, know your area. If you're in a flood zone, that's going to be different. If you're in, someplace that gets affected by hurricanes a lot, it's going to be a little bit different. So the best thing to do is kind of call around when you're first getting started and see like what would this number kind of look like. So now you have all of that information, and you can go to like I said, like mortgagecalculator.org is a free one, works fine. It asks you for all the things, what is the loan amount, how much are you putting down, how long is the term, what is your insurance, and then what are your taxes. And that's just going to spit out a number to you. And that number is the PITI. PITI is, again, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And that's just your monthly debt service. That's probably one of the most important numbers you could know. So in this example, that number would be $669.09. So now I know what my property is going to cost me to go to the bank and take that down. What was the website? The website was mortgagecalculator.org. And it's just a free one. There's like tons of free ones out there. Mortgagecalculator.org is interesting. They have like, you can filter out like interest only. If you ever wanted to use like a private money lender or a hard money lender, you can they have different, real estate related calculators that are all just free to use. I found it helpful. It's again, free resource to use. So plug all that stuff in. Now I have my debt service. Now, what's the next thing to look at? I've identified this as a property I want to potentially buy and hold. I just need to figure out my numbers. And so I have my monthly debt service, what this would cost me now. Now I have to look at what this property is going to generate. And so how I do that is you're going to have to start looking at rental comps. Market knowledge is really helpful here. If you know your area really well, you can kind of know what goes for where. So there's a few different places you can get rental comps, and there's kind of some golden ones in there. So the first one would be like Zillow Rents. You just plug in the address on Zillow, filter for rent, and look in the area. See what kind of model match per se, or like bed bath split is going for in that area. Now you have to be cognizant. Is this a 10 unit? Really, you want to compare apples to apples. So a duplex to a duplex, a single family to single family, and then you see how much those beds and baths are renting for in that area. So that's one free resource for you. And I'm always going to harp and preach on free resources, just because I know what it's like to start, not really have any money, and kind of get going. Rentometer, rentometer, whatever you want to call it. That's another resource for you. And then the one I like the most, I do pay for it. It's like $40 a month, but you get access to all the bigger pockets. It's the bigger pockets rent estimator, and again, that gets unlocked with a monthly subscription. Essentially, it's got a bunch of other stuff too, but that's honestly all I really use it for. And that'll just populate addresses and like properties all around that area, and basically give you an aggregate of what the average rent might be for an asset like that. So those are some of the ways you can get the gross rent. Now, I forgot to mention, which is, again, most important stuff. What is this asset? So it's a 4-bed, 2-bath duplex, about 200 square feet, or I'm sorry, 2,000 square feet. So it's a 2-1 on each side. So while I'm using those free resources, while I'm doing my due diligence, while I'm using the market knowledge that I have, I'm looking at what are 2-bedroom, 1-baths going for in that area, with each unit, right around 900 square feet. You got to figure there's some common areas, some common stairwells, stuff like that. So again, how much do these cost? Rentometer only has a 7-day free trial. Oh man, that sucks.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. I mean, frankly, I don't use it much. I know I did a lot in the beginning though. So yeah, what do 2-1s rent for? Very conservatively, and again, I'm very, very conservative with my numbers. I just want to know, like, is this thing bulletproof? Where do I not lose? Like, how do I not lose on this thing? So in a very real sense, I think I can get $850 per side, but for sake of underwriting, I just cut $100 off it each side. So 750 each side. So 750 times 2 is $1,500. So now I have what my debt service is going to be, how much the property is going to make me, right? Is that all we need? No. So we also have to factor in expenses, right? So it's not it's not something that's never going to need any attention or never going to need repairs or maintenance. And are you going to be going out to the property and fixing the leak at 2 a.m, or do you want a company to service that for you, right? So I myself use a property manager up here, and I am taking off of gross rent 25% for all of my expenses, and I'll break those down in a second. So I take off 10% for my property manager, and this is all off of the gross rent number. So this thing gross
What
rent
is gross? That people don't know. What is gross between that and net?
So gross is just what it generates, and then net is what I actually take home and put in my pocket. So this is what we're doing. We're taking the gross to get down to our net after all debt service and expenses. And so with what that property takes in, I'm factoring in 10% for my property manager, 5% for my vacancy. So if there's turnover and stuff, you're just saving 5% of gross rent every month for that rainy day when that happens. Your maintenance. So again, rainy day, there's a leak, property manager has to send somebody out there to fix it. You've been saving 5% of the gross rent month over month to be able to pay that out. And then 5% for capital expenditure. So capital expenditure would be like furnace, roof, stuff like that. Really, you can culminate that all into 15% for your war chest and 10% for your property manager. So for 25% total. And so 25% of $1,500 is $375. So you have $375 in expenses. Right? So now I'm just subtracting. I take my gross rent, $1,500, minus my expenses. And this is where my bad math comes up. So I pull out a calculator. 1,500 minus 375. So it's 1,125 after my expenses and my war chest and my property manager. And then I'm also subtracting out my debt service, right? I still have to pay the mortgage. So $669.09. That leaves me with a total net monthly cash flow of $455.91. Pretty good. Now we have to figure out what that's good in relation to, right? I could buy a property that generates me $1,000, but if I had to put $100,000 into it, it's not a good investment, right? It's not an equal ratio. It's not a good ratio. So that number is kind of arbitrary until you do a cash on cash. You do the math on the cash on cash. And so how you would do that is you take your monthly net cash flow, what you make per month, times 12. You're multiplying by 12 because you want to get that number annualized. So $455.91 times 12 is $5,470.92. So that number is your annual net operating income. That is how much money that property puts into your pocket, net after all expenses, after you pay the mortgage, everything. That's how much you had put in your pocket over the course of that year. So you take that number, your annual net operating income, and you divide that by the cash it took you to get into the deal. So you're going to take $5,470.92 divided by $23,100. That was your cash to close, your down payment, your closing costs, all that stuff. So the $5,470.92 divided by 23,100 gives you a 23.6% cash on cash return. It's pretty good. 23.6%.
Pretty good.
If you think about this over the course of, and this is kind of how you have to start thinking, especially if you're going to start raising money, or like partnering with people. What does the stock market return on average over the past 100 years, right? It's right around 10%. So how do I justify putting my money into this asset class versus this asset class? Where's the justification, right? You pretty much have to beat 10%. Now, different strokes for different folks. There's some people who don't really care so much about cash flow, and they'll invest in a high appreciating neighborhood, and they'll build their net worth that way, or they'll force appreciate a property. And this isn't something so much so that they're looking for. I have a personal goal of getting to $5,000 a month net cash flow for my rentals. That's my first, kind of my first rung on the ladder that I'm shooting for. So I'm very, very hyper focused on doing stuff like that just returns money to me quickly. And so at a 23.6%, I start to look at it like, okay, I could spend my $21,100, or I could partner with somebody. I'll bring the deal, I'll bring the structure, they bring the credit and the finances. So if we're doing a 50-50 equity split where they're just the money partner and I'm just the deal finding partner, you have to cut that cash on cash in half, because now you're going to be receiving half of the cash flow and they're going to be receiving half of the cash flow. So that number, the 23.6%, gets cut right in half. And that would be 23.6 divided by 2, 11.8%. You're barely beating the stock market. Doesn't make too much sense. As an individual investor, it's pretty good. So using that 23.6%, if you just multiply that by 4, you're close to 100%. You're right around there. Take you about 4 years to pull all your money out of that deal. But you got the debt pay down and the taxes and all of the things that everybody loves about buying and holding real estate, all of the incentives that come along with that. But I looked at this and I was like, you know what? We converted to creative. It was already under creative terms, but this is just an example. Doing it cash wouldn't really allow me to partner. I'd have to come out of my pocket, which I probably would have. It's still a good return. But these are the terms we landed on. And I think this it will give you a good example of how to underwrite it and also the power of creative finance. And so we're going to do another equation under the seller finance terms that we landed on. So it's the same purchase. Any questions so far? I should probably take a pause. Is there a resource for what exit strategies are out there and what numbers are good for each? I don't think there's like a culminated exit strategy. Chris, do you have any knowledge of that?
No, I don't think that I don't know one offhand, to tell you the truth, but I'm pretty sure someone created something out there in this world. But more so, I don't think there's a specific forum or resource that we can guide you to today, but we can actually, out of curiosity, look it up and try to figure out what that may look like. And sorry, I don't know whom this is, but guys, always give StreamYard access to show your name on here so we can actually know whom we're speaking to, and also we can reach out and squat up and all that good stuff. It probably just does show your name on your side, but on our end we don't see what that looks like. So yeah, that's a good question. But 100%, there's definitely a lot of different exit strategies, but I don't think there's probably like one kind of website or forum that has all that I can relate to.
It's specific knowledge of the different niches out there and just like gaining an awareness to those things. And then that's the power of proximity and networking and knowing different people who know different things. So like say there was a deal that looked like it might be good for note investing. Like I just wouldn't be sure. I'd have to tap a professional. So like Brad Young, for an example, is incredibly note investor. I'd tap Brad and be like, hey man, where do we need to be with this? So if you guys are interested in note investing, definitely reach out to Brad. So how about flipping?
Yep.
So that's a totally different equation. I'd love to go through maybe some numbers if you had an example or something like that. I just want to get through this last portion where we do the same deal under creative terms and like how much more powerful that is. So
absolutely. And Larry, good to see you here, man. Good to see you. All you, Collin.
So we're going to use all of the same. Well, we're going to use the same purchase price, right? So the seller, a little bit of context for you. The seller was stuck at $105,000. They weren't so concerned with the monthly cash flow. We went back and forth about what number that would be as far as like how much I'm going to pay to them. So with seller finance, basically the owner of that asset just becomes the bank for you. And that's what we landed on. And then we worked out all of these numbers through different negotiations and going back and forth. And, honestly, it was a decent amount of touches before we got this thing to the closing table. Well, we're still not at the closing table, but before we inked this thing and we're under contract. And so we have a purchase price of $105,000. This guy wanted $6,000 down. It actually started with 3, and then he twisted my arm and was like, "Can we do 6?" And I'm like, "Yes, let's sign the contract." So $6,000 down. I still have the same $2,100 to close. And then an assignment fee. So my buddy who brought me the deal, I'm paying him $3,000, something that might not have converted because they just weren't budging on their price. They wanted that number. It was stuck in their mind. They weren't going to sell it without it. Basically a dead deal. It was a dead lead. And so since that got converted, definitely he's owed an assignment fee. So we landed on a $3,000 assignment. And that's going to bring my total entry fee on the creative side to $11,100. So if you have a piece of paper in front of you, you'll see the top example. That's $10,000 less than what I would have paid, going the traditional route. My monthly payment to the seller is $333. Why $333? That's a weird number. He's the bank, right? He has no headaches to deal with, and we also agreed I'm going to buy 2 more of his duplexes on the same agreement, and so it's going to be $333 per property. So deals like this are out there, guys. I mean, it sounds kind of crazy. It was a little surreal as we were talking to him. This is one of the best deals I've ever done for a buy and hold. So yeah, it was pretty excited about that, getting that number down to $333 a month. My taxes, I went back to the same thing I said before, go on your county website, and I just divided by 12. So I know how much a month I need to set aside for taxes. So that's $55.75 per month. Same thing with insurance. Insurance came out to $83.33 a month, bringing my total PITI $474.08. And I didn't have to calculate interest into this because we settled on 0% interest. And, how do you get 0% interest deals? Many different ways, many different techniques. Really, I just asked him. I was like, straight up, I was like, "Hey, man, do you want to babysit an amortization table? Because I know I sure don't. I know at year 10 when we hit our balloon, so this one is a balloon in 10. I know when we hit our balloon date, I don't want to have to track over those 10 years how much is going to principal, how much is going to interest. Why don't we just settle on a number that works for you, and then that will go to the principal payment, and that way it's a really easy calculation at year 10 what I owe you on the balloon."
Yeah, well said. 100%. Even the best deal, like a lot of people don't see it that way, and literally the best deals can come from that because a lot of people don't realize. They think about interest. I want what the bank would charge. I want this and that, and the way you just really broke it down more so specifically. If I was selling my property to you, I would definitely do it all day due to the fact of 100%. A lot of people don't realize, like, literally you could put like 8% interest on the property, then all of a sudden, what if you get paid out sooner? You may not get all your money that you thought you were going to get at year 10 or whatever that may look like specifically, but it's a lot of different things that people don't realize. And it actually took me a while to figure that out as well, and realizing specifically, like, okay, this is 2% interest, and it doesn't seem like much, but in reality it does add up.
For sure. Yeah, interest rates can kill deals for sure. So now that we kind of have all of our numbers, I don't know if you guys are following along, but I'll just keep going. So now we get into the equations that we need to do. How much am I going to net monthly, and what's my cash on cash return, right? So we already determined that this property is going to cash flow gross $1,500 a month in rent. That expense number hasn't changed, so we're going to minus out our $375 again. And now we do our new debt service. So we minus again the $474.08, which is our new debt service.
Mm-hmm.
So now that number looks like $650.92 a month, net monthly cash flow. So that's about $200 more than I would have cash flowed if I had went with the bank. And, obviously there's so many incentives to doing 0% down, the debt pay down and all this stuff. But in a very real sense, you're cash flowing $200 more. So that's always a win. And then again, how do we get our cash on cash return? We do our 650.92 times 12. We need that number annualized. And that
692 is the your cash flow, correct?
My net cash flow. Yep.
Gotcha.
So my gross minus my expenses minus my debt service. So I take my monthly net cash flow, I annualize that, I multiply by 12, and that gives me an annual NOI, which again is just annual net operating income of $7,811.04. So over the course of a year, I made about $2,000 more, about $2,400 more than I would have. So now that my annual NOI number is higher, I also have a smaller cash to close, right? I'm $10,000 less than what it would have cost me at the bank. So now I have to divide by my cash to close, which is $11,100. And that leaves me with a 70.3% cash on cash return, which is nuts.
Big difference.
Huge difference. It's I get that money paid back to me 3 times as fast.
And now, what your first example? What was your cash on cash return?
The first example was 23.6%.
Big difference. And just in case you guys missed that, huge difference.
It's almost 3 times as fast that money will get returned. And now that allows me to go to a private money lender if that's what I want to do and say, hey, I have this deal. I'll give you equity. You bring money to the table. I bring no money to the table. I bring the deal and the structure and the managing of the manager. And I can say, this will give you a 35% return on your money. Now you're blowing the stock market out of the water. They have a real asset that they can depreciate against. They have the debt pay down, the equity that's being built with appreciation over the years and the debt pay down. It just makes so much sense to do it that way. And there's enough for everybody to go around. $650 split rate in half is about $325 a piece a month. Now that's an infinite return on my end because I found the deal, structured it. Well, I guess the deal was brought to me, but structured the deal, positioned myself, and then the lender who has more money than time is like, awesome. Yeah, I want a 35% return on my money all day, along with all of the benefits that real estate give you, as I was kind of touching on.
Absolutely. Effie, Collin, who handles the repairs of the property? You are the private money lender.
This is going to be different, right? So I have turned down lenders in the past who, we were starting to get to know each other, and they might be more transactionally minded, which is fine. That's their business model. That's what they want to do. They just want to deploy capital. Boom, 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 boom. I'm not going to knock them at all. It's just not somebody it's not something I'm going to work with at this time. I'm really focused on building relationships and longevity. And I like to align. I like to have my vision align with people. And so with that, as we're building this relationship, we're talking a lot, and eventually these peers, these investors, they become your friends. It's usually messy when it's the other way around and you guys are friends and then get into business. But I found, fingers crossed, I haven't had any negative experiences yet being in business and developing relationships from there. It's a lot less messy. But as those relationships are being built, you're having a lot of conversations with each other on what this might look like. And you're just settling on something that works for both of you. For me, I'm giving away 50% equity. You're essentially the moneyed partner at that point. Here's where we can lose. Always look at the downside of your deals. You kind of poke holes in it as much as you can with these lenders, with you because they're partners on this. You poke the holes and you're just like, listen, I think we have some deferred maintenance here. Reasonably we can expect this kind of expense, X, Y, Z. And then you could even, talk about putting a little bit of reserves in the property up front. But how I've structured things traditionally is the moneyed partner is the moneyed partner. And I'm more so the management partner. So I'll manage the managers. I'll make sure we're not getting, robbed essentially from our property managers. And I'm bringing the deal and structuring it. They're bringing the money. If there is something and that's the cool thing about real estate, you have insurance on it. So right. It's never going to be like, man, we need a roof. We need to spend $8,000 tomorrow. It's like, we have insurance. We're going to make an insurance claim and insurance is going to take care of it. But little things, that's why you're saving the 15% for your war chest. If repairs come up and if you have to come out of pocket, that's what that 15% war chest is. If there's anything that would ever exceed that, the way I've structured things And the way I like to do things is the money partner would be the one who kind of came out of pocket. And if they're like, hey man, are you open to go, if you were open to splitting this with me, would you? I would be open to the conversation, although that's not our original agreement.
That's a good question, because a lot of people don't understand that sometimes, depending on the private money lender, how much they want to be involved, it really depends on that specific relationship. It really all depends, because like on the opposite end of things, more so like for me specifically, my private money lender that's over in PA, he lives in PA. I live in Rochester. So he's going to be a little bit more hands-on and on the project, and more so what that looked like, because he's about 15, 20 minutes away from the property. So it really all depends on the relationship and what that looks like specifically, and what your end goal is. That's a good question, though.
Absolutely.
Seth, yes, we can now see you. Just wanted to acknowledge that we can now see you. Thanks for granting StreamYard. Neil squatting up in the comments. He is an EMD lender. A Gator lender, so he's a buyer in South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia. For those who don't know Neil, there you are.
I hope that was helpful for you guys. Did you have any questions about like the equations or like assumptions you would need to make, or places you would need to go?
Can I be a private money lender for you guys? 100%. For a Facebook user, no. But we need to know who you are.
Go ahead and either drop your name in the chat or reach out to Chris or I or Jesse in a DM. We'd love to talk about creating a relationship with you and potentially doing deals together. That's something we're always looking for. We're always
absolutely. Usually we hop on Zooms and we definitely. Absolutely. Sorry, I think there's a lag on my end. But yeah, we usually hop on a Zoom and more so get to know what you're looking for, see how we can line it, what that specific look like, whether it's short term, long term. I'm a police officer. He's saying I'm a police officer, no time with money. Yeah, no worries. Transparently, my lender that's over at PA, he's a police officer as well. No kidding. So and a lot of people don't understand. Like, I'm glad you just brought that up, Facebook user. A lot of your lenders are all around you, literally all around you, whether that's the lawyer, police officer, someone in the healthcare, a nurse, it might be, a director of operation. They're all around you. Somebody, like, you might be getting your teeth cleaned one day and you find out your dentist is as a private money lender. And, Collin and I, we just, one of our branch managers local to us, he's actually a private money lender. So it's they're all around you. It's a matter of letting people know exactly what you're doing. And more so just having that conversation, building relationships. Daryl, joining late, are we talking about single family? We are talking all about underwriting, whether that's single family or multifamily. If multifamily, can someone explains loss to lease and how to calculate that?
Yeah, so loss to lease, to my understanding, is typically the rents that are in place right now compared to market rents. Basically, like opportunity cost, right? Like you're losing out by not having those units at market rent. That's my understanding of it. And again, I don't know anything. I'm a lifelong learner. I'm a lifelong student. Super humble. I'm always looking to learn and grow. So I put a heavy emphasis on my education and just talking to everyone. If he says it's a paper loss, yeah. So it's opportunity cost essentially.
I'm sure I missed it, but where do you find the numbers used to underwrite?
Yeah, so some of it's assumptions, right? If you have a good relationship with a local lender, and you've worked with them in the past, or you have relationships with the loan officers, or really you can just pick up the phone and call. You can do a lot of research online for like some of the assumptions you'll have to make, like interest rates. But really, you're going to know the purchase price. You're going to know if they're open to creative or not. If they're going to be open to creative, it's up to you to negotiate what those numbers are. But really, it starts with the purchase price. If you're underwriting, from the aspect of I'm going to have to go to the bank and borrow money and put money down. It's typically 20%. So you need your purchase price and you need your monthly rent, and then taxes. Again, best place to get them is your county website, your county tax portal. And then Redfin has tax estimates as well. Not always accurate, but you can get a ballpark idea. And then insurance, again, it's pretty market specific. I would just recommend reaching out. The best way is reaching out to an agent and just being like, typically around here, what are you seeing for assets of XYZ? 3 beds, 2 baths, pool in the back, yada, yada, yada.
So I just went on Facebook on my phone. This is Jovelli de la Cruz. Just wanted to pinpoint the name out. Jovelli. If I'm saying, I'm very good at butchering names, just throwing it out there. But I think I stated that correctly. If he says, so where's the calendar link to have these conversations about working with you? Asking for a friend.
Yeah.
So initially our calendar link is turned off right now because we're overbooked. However, if you reach out to us via email at info@thirdmind, thirdmindrei.com, we'll definitely get that, and we'll definitely either reach out to you right away or whatever that may specifically, and kind of schedule out time to hop on the phone or a Zoom to try to underwrite that with you.
Yeah, best way to reach out is either reach out to us directly on social media. Shoot us a message. Be like, hey, want to connect with you? Let's hop on a Zoom. Or the info@thirdmindrei.com. Yeah, we're super interested in talking with you and doing business with all of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys who again, our company name is Third Mind REI, and we can facilitate a lot of different things, right? We do more than just underwrite and all that good stuff. We facilitate a lot of different things in our business. It's almost like real estate in a box. Those who don't know, we handle acquisitions, we handle dispositions as well. We have a phenomenal acquisitions team under us who does a phenomenal job on the calls, reaching out to sellers, staying on top of the sellers and our agents. Also, we do have a phenomenal dispo manager that we brought on board who's great at sourcing out buyers. Whatever we need as far as the buyers, he's going to source them out. He's going to vet them out, make sure they're credible, get them to the finish line. And we also, we have a transaction coordinating company. So we do handle a lot of the paperwork with the 95% of our transactions. So, anything we do operate in all 50, I almost said 48 states, but 50 states. We operate 50 states, and we successfully have closed over as of today, actually 16 states successfully. So definitely feel free to reach out anytime to any one of us, whether that's myself, Jesse, and Collin. We're here to help. We want to see everyone around us be successful. And transparently, guys, like Collin said earlier, when it comes to private money lending, we want to build a relationship. We don't want to just be a one-time, hey, take my money, and then, speak to you again in 6 months. We don't want that. We want to understand exactly what you're looking for, how we can really make money together and make this a longevity situation.
Absolutely.
Angel said you can't forget about Alaska. Yes, that is correct. I can't forget about Alaska. That is actually a lot of people don't understand this, but Alaska is actually a great market to invest in, and that's one thing that Collin and I and Jesse, we've been doing great at successfully thus far over the last couple months. So that's pretty neat. Just Alaska is a great market, because even before real estate, I never thought about investing in Alaska. Have you, Collin?
Say again?
Before getting into real estate, you ever thought about investing in Alaska?
No, not at all. I thought about disappearing in the woods out there a few times, but I love the landscape. It's an absolutely gorgeous state. But yeah, we've been seeing a lot of opportunities in Alaska. We're really gonna start pumping our volume there a lot more this year. So more to follow for sure on Alaska.
Absolutely.
Any interest in properties in Metro Detroit? Yes. Have a big buyer's base in Detroit. So yeah, what do you have, right? Is it buy and hold opportunities? Are they fix and flips? Are you just looking to wholesale? Again, feel free to email, reach out to us on social media and connect with us. Let's talk further about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Collin, New York with the Harlan. I ask him all the time. Actually, Collin, that's a question for you, man.
Yeah. Why are the hard landlord tenant laws? I can't say why. I have no idea why. It doesn't make too much sense to me. I know a lot of people who got burned. I think my timing is really good, right? So I put a heavy emphasis on active income. all the way up, and then the COVID like mortuariums have lifted, and so now there's a ton of evictions happening, right? So there's deals out there. Number one, pretty much all of the big investors are liquidating and heading south to Florida. That's exactly where I got this deal from. Why are they so hard? I can't answer that. I don't know. Are there things you can do to kind of protect yourself? Yes, right? So now that there's been a lot of evictions that have already happened and a lot that are pending, those people have kind of, flagged themselves essentially for not being a good tenant. You can hire a property manager who has a lot of experience and is connected, and their contracts are well thought out and done by attorneys. You can protect yourself in that way. And then having a good real estate attorney is always, helpful as well. That's going to be able to help you with any of the evictions. It's certainly a consideration to have. Where are you investing? It's been good for me so far. More to come.
Absolutely. Daryl, is your buy box listed on your website, or should we DM you all? What are your thoughts about that?
So we don't have a buy box listed per se, right? So we are opportunistic in the sense that we're going to be a lot pickier where we flip, right? Because we need to have those connections with contractors. As far as stuff that we're going to take down, our buy box is typically, the threshold is right at 20-30% of cash on cash return, right? So with a fee, buying it from an end buyer, we need to be at right around 20 to 30% cash on cash to pull that trigger and make it happen and be the end buyer for you. Again, fix and flips and buying those, being your end buyer for your distressed properties, that's going to be a lot more market specific. So again, while we're on the topic specifically, we'll buy in Rochester. Me and Chris are here. Buy in Anchorage, Alaska. We'll buy in Greensboro, North Carolina, and we'll buy in Tampa, Florida for fix and flips.
Absolutely. Yes, Seth, thank you for being here. Thank you for being there. We look forward to this as well. And Facebook user, where do you guys find your PMC?
I think they mean PML. Private money lenders.
Everywhere. If you're at home, literally go next door. Your next door neighbor might be a PML. They're all around us, man.
Let me say this. Getting out of your comfort zone can be so hard because you're afraid your friends maybe your buddies from high school poke fun at you because you're posting on Instagram. Maybe X, Y, or Z. I've bounced from job to job. I've dropped out of college. My family doesn't believe in me. Now I'm going to say I'm doing real estate. There's so many different factors that keep people from just putting themselves out there. It's like, hey, this is what I'm doing. You will start to attract, once you start doing that and you get out of your comfort zone, you will start to attract these people into your lives, and you will start having interesting conversations with people. I would highly encourage you to get out of your comfort zone. Gain real clarity. What are you trying to do? Like, why are you getting into real estate? What's your why? Your why needs to be so powerful that it's gravitational. It pulls you forward. It doesn't push you. It pulls you. So figure out your why. Gain that insane clarity. With that insane clarity, you're going to start to build confidence, because put a heavy emphasis on your education. Don't just, go down the YouTube rabbit hole. Like, I encourage that. You need to educate yourself. You need to do these things. You need to get the reps in. You need to talk to the sellers and put the pen to paper in the underwriting. You need to do those things, yes, and educate yourself how, but you need to do them more importantly. Take action behind that. That is going to snowball and compound, and that is going to further build your confidence as you work forward with that insane clarity. You have that burning why behind you on why you're doing everything that you're doing. As that starts to happen more, as you put yourself out there more, you're just going to start making connection after connection. Oh man, he meant private money or property management company.
I never seen PMC. I've never seen it.
Referrals.
Yep.
Talk to people that you trust. Get some referrals. Vet them yourselves. Go have coffee with a bunch of them. Talk to them about their systems, their processes. Do they have people in house? Do they subcontract everything? If they sub everything, they're going to charge you an arm and a leg. So that's how I'd say how, you can use Google too, I'm sure. Talk to people in your area. And again, that goes back to just putting yourself out there, gaining that clarity, building that confidence, doing the work. What percentage of Airbnb are buying in Tampa? 50, 55%. Tampa's more on the bubble market. You know, that thing went crazy with COVID, so we just have to protect ourselves when the market starts to correct more. You know, we could have that conversation for days and days and days about the market correction, what we think is going to happen, but nobody really knows. So got to be a little bit safer in those bubble markets. You're going to have to buy at a deeper discount just because nobody knows what the hell is going to happen. Take you 3 months to finish. You have no idea where rates are going to be. A question that precedes the Calendly one is what would be a ballpark amount to make sense to you as a PML? I know it depends on the deal, but what minimum makes sense for you to consider someone? I'll go ahead and just take a stab at it. Really, as a minimum, probably 5K. Not really too sure what we would be able to do with less than 5K. But 5K is probably a good starting point just to, in a very real sense, answer your question pointedly.
I agree. Because initially, you know, anything lower, so you're not for sure exactly what you can do with it. Depending, like if you're gonna become a gator lender, that's a different thing. You know, maybe $500 to $1,000, 15 to $3,000, depending on specifically what the deal looks like. But become a private money lender, I think a good, fare is like $5,000 to $8,000, depending on specifically what it looks like.
And that's why, hopping on a call, connecting, seeing what you're trying to do. Maybe your money can be best spent somewhere else, and we can help, guide you towards that, right? Love to have that conversation with you, Iffy, more in depth for sure.
Good property managers companies are hard to find. 100%. 100%. I couldn't agree more. I wish I knew whom I was talking to right now, but I couldn't agree with you more, man.
I couldn't agree either. Yeah, that's a very good point. They are hard to find. Do your due diligence. Go have coffee with them. Show up to their office. See how they present themselves. Alice Chodowski.
That was good pronunciation. I would have butchered the hell out of it, but Alice. Good to see you here, Alice. So we got a couple more minutes. Any final questions that you guys want to throw in the chat? Go ahead, throw it in the chat. I want to say thank you, Collin, for being here today to go over underwriting. I know underwriting can be very, very difficult to just grasp overall, especially dealing with a lot of numbers from multifamily to single family to commercial. It all plays a huge factor. And typically, what would you say how long it takes, like an underwrite multifamily? What do you think? Like a couple hours more so? Like if you have all the financials?
Large multifamily, yeah. It's going to take a while to really get through all of the minutia. You're talking about 60, 80, 100 units. Takes a little while, especially you're going to have to corroborate, what are market rents for this kind of asset class with these kinds of amenities. So to do a really good job, you're anywhere between like 3 and 4 hours. And, if you're really digging into it and you're calling other similar properties and, doing the secret shopper type of thing with the subject property, it's going to take you a little bit longer to get a full picture of that property. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it's always about who, not how, right? And more so, thank you again, man. I truly appreciate you being here today. And Jesse does miss you guys. He will definitely be back next week. No offense about that. He had to take care of something. We got Luke saying anyone buying in Minneapolis and St. Paul. Not for sure who is, but more so, if it's creative, it may be a potential for us. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, thank you guys again. We got less than 30 seconds. Any final questions that you want to throw in the chat, throw it in the chat. And guys, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is The Elephant Show with Jesse Stanton and Chris James. Also, specifically on my social medias is Chris.JamesREI. Jesse's is Jesse_Stanton on his socials. And Collin, how can the people reach out to you?
Yeah, Collin Gibboney on Facebook, Collin.Gibboney on Instagram. I'm more responsive on Instagram, honestly. Just feel free to reach out there.
Absolutely. Angel Mail, you're phenomenal. A great spirit, great soul. I love her. I hope you enjoyed that steak last night, by the way. Perfect cooked. Perfectly cooked. Just throwing that out there. Sapphire, good to see you here, guys. Sapphire is an amazing individual. She's she's a great she's so many words. She's actually building her own business with regards to like fashion design and all that good stuff. So definitely reach out if you guys need stuff made, or even I believe she does makeup as well. So definitely I'll reach out if you need that as well. Daryl, great to see you. Appreciate you as well. And Angel Miller said barbecue ribs. Just throwing that out there. Angel and Colin's going to have a cook off, but I already know who's going to win. So, but great seeing you guys. Until next time, see you guys next week. Appreciate you.